Hello. Did you appeal your property tax assessment to the Board of Review? Do you feel like the board made a decision that still overvalues your home? You can appeal the board's decision to the Small Claims Division of the Michigan Tax Tribunal. Today, we're going to show you how to fill out the form to appeal the board's decision to the Michigan Tax Tribunal. When you're beginning the appeal process, it can be confusing at first, so please use this video as a guide. In this video, I'll show you exactly how to fill out the form step by step, what documents you'll need, and how to submit it on time. To challenge the board's decision, you will need to file a petition for valuation appeal with the Michigan Tax Tribunal. This form is for property owners who want to appeal the valuation of their property. Before we start filling out the form, grab a few key documents. 1. Board of Review Decision Letter, which is labeled Assessment Change Notice. 2. Any appraisals or comparable property sales. 3. Your parcel number, which is on your Board of Review Decision Letter. 4. A copy of the appeal that you filed with the Board of Review. Now that you've gathered those items, let's go through the form section by section. Section 1. Petitioner Information. Start with your name, mailing address, phone number, and email. This is the contact info the tribunal will use to reach you. Section 2. Authorized Representative. Since you are likely filling out the form yourself, go ahead and skip Part 2. You'd only need to fill in this section if you're having someone else file for you, like a property tax agent. Section 3. Subject Property Information. Before you start this section, consider the number of properties you'll be appealing. If you are appealing more than one property, you can use the same form for both appeals if the properties are directly next to each other. If they are not directly next to each other, you need to fill out a separate form for each property. If you are appealing more than one property and the properties are directly next to each other, then use the multiple parcel form. A link to this form can be found in the description below. Again, if you are appealing more than one property and the properties are not directly next to one another, you must file separate appeals for each. As you go through this section, provide the address of all properties being appealed, the name of the city or township where the property is located. For most people viewing this, you will put the city of Detroit and Wayne County. Section 4. Issues being appealed. Section 4 is where you'll tell the tribunal exactly what you're appealing. You'll see a list of checkboxes. You can select one or more depending on your situation. Check all that apply. Here's what each option means. True cash and taxable value. Use this if the city of Detroit is still valuing your property as more than it could actually sell for. This is the most common option for homeowners. Uncapping of taxable value. Check this if the city incorrectly treated your home as though it was sold in the last year. This can significantly inflate your property's taxable value and, in turn, the taxes that you owe. You can tell if the city treated your property as sold in the last year by looking at your property tax assessment notice. If your home was not actually sold within the last year, check this box. Poverty exemption. If you applied for and were denied a poverty exemption by your local Board of Review and you meet the income and asset guidelines, select this box. Disabled Veterans Exemption. Check this if you or your spouse is a 100% disabled veteran and you were denied the full property tax exemption you're legally entitled to. Classification. Use this if you believe your property is classified incorrectly. For example, your property is listed as commercial when it should be residential. If your property is classified incorrectly, you could be paying a lot more than you should in property taxes. Section 5. Explain the reason for the appeal. Now, we're at Section 5. This is where you'll describe the facts and logic behind your case. Think of it as your opportunity to explain in your own words, why you believe the assessment or decision is wrong. Start by clearly stating the main issue, whether it's overvaluation, denial of exemption, or incorrect classification. Then, use numbered paragraphs or bullet points to lay out your reasoning in a clear and logical order. Stick to the facts and back them up with evidence where possible. We encourage you to attach the appeal you submitted to the Board of Review as well, and note that you are appealing for the same reasons as those previously explained to the Board, in addition to whatever else you may choose to include in this section. Here are a few examples of what this might look like. 1. The home has structural damage that reduces its market value. 2. Comparable homes in my area recently sold for significantly less. 3. I meet the qualifications for a poverty exemption but was denied by the local board. Keep your explanation brief but complete. Usually 1 or 2 paragraphs is enough. Avoid emotional arguments and focus on facts that relate directly to valuation, exemption status, or classification. If you're referencing supporting documents like appraisals, sales data, or tax notices, mention them here so the tribunal knows what to look for. Be factual, be specific, and reference your evidence. Once you've written your explanation, double-check for clarity. Remember, this is your opportunity to make your case in writing before the hearing even begins. Section 6. Jurisdictional Issues. Section 6 is called Jurisdictional Issues, and it confirms whether your appeal meets the legal requirements to be heard by the Michigan Tax Tribunal. You'll need to answer some key questions about timing and previous steps taken. Start by entering the tax year or years you're appealing, usually the current year. Next, indicate whether you protested the assessment at a Board of Review, or BOR. If you did, check Yes, and then check which BOR you attended, March, July, or December, and don't forget to attach the decision letter. If you didn't attend a Board of Review, check No, but you must also explain why not by selecting the appropriate reason. Options include: you weren't required to attend. This applies in certain exemption or classification cases. You never received your assessment change notice. You're appealing a clerical error or mutual mistake of fact. You're appealing based on a state tax commission order or notice of uncapping within 35 days of receiving it. If your appeal involves a poverty exemption, answer the next question. Did you request it at a Board of Review? If yes, check which BOR considered it, March, July, or December, and attach the decision. If you didn't request it at the BOR, explain why in the space provided. This explanation is required. Section 7. Valuation Information. Section 7 is where you'll provide detailed property valuation information. This helps the tribunal compare the current assessed and taxable values with what you believe they should be. Start by entering your parcel ID number. You can find this on your property tax bill or assessment notice. Check whether the property is real or personal. Most homeowners will check real. Then, select the property's classification, such as residential, commercial, or agricultural. Choose the one used on your local assessment. Most watching this video should choose residential. Next, enter the assessed value and taxable value as they were determined by your local Board of Review, BOR. These figures should match what's on your most recent BOR notice. Now, enter what you believe your property's fair market value is, also called its true cash value. This should be based on your own evidence, like an appraisal, recent comparable sales, or market research. Take your proposed true cash value and divide it by 2. That's your proposed or contended assessed value. For example, if your true cash value is $50,000, you should enter $25,000 here. If you believe the taxable value should be different from the assessed value, enter that number in the final line. Sometimes they're the same, but not always, especially if there are caps or exemptions involved. Section 7 ties together the numbers behind your appeal. Be accurate, be realistic, and make sure you can support your values with documents like appraisals or comparables. Section 8. Classification information. Section 8 only needs to be filled out if you're appealing the classification of your property. That means you're challenging how your local assessor categorized your land. For example, saying it's commercial when it should be residential. Keep in mind, only the Michigan Department of Treasury can file a classification appeal, not a local unit. This basically means that local governments like townships or city assessors cannot challenge the classification of a property through this tribunal process. Only the Michigan Department of Treasury can initiate a formal appeal to change how a property is classified, e.g., from commercial to residential or vice versa. However, property owners can dispute their own property classification if they believe it's incorrect, and that's what this section of the form is for. Start by entering your parcel ID number again. Be sure it matches what you've written in earlier sections. Next, select whether the property is real or personal, and check the box that matches the current classification according to the Board of Review. Now, tell the tribunal what you believe the correct classification is. If you're arguing that your building was wrongly classified, for example, a home being taxed as a commercial storefront, this is where you correct that. If the property has a structure or improvements on it, answer the final two questions. 1. How is it currently being used? 2. What was it originally designed to be used for? For example, you might write 1. Currently used as a single-family residence. 2. Originally designed as a single-family home. If you're appealing a classification, be sure your explanation in Section 5 includes your reasoning and that you have evidence like property records or photos to support your claim. Fee information. The final step before submitting your petition is reviewing the fee information section and signing the form. Start by answering two important questions. 1. Does the property have a principal residence exemption, PRE, of 50% or more? 2. Are you only appealing a poverty exemption or disabled veterans exemption denial? If you answered yes to either one, you do not have to pay a filing fee. Next, if a filing fee is required, it depends on the property type and value being contested. You'll need to compare the state equalized value, SEV, or taxable value you're appealing, whichever is higher. Signature. Now, sign and date the form. You must include your signature or your attorney's before submitting. Now you should be all set. The end of the form also includes some guidelines if you have any lingering questions. Thank you for watching.